because I've known Kathleen now for 15 years or more through Rotary.
So,
Served on some committees with her. She's been very, very involved in the district, and I'll just give you a little bit of information about Kathleen. She's been an active member of the Rotary Club of Carlisle for 25 years, and she's a past president of the club. In our District 7390, she serves as International Service Chair, Peace Fellowship Chair, and Global Grant Chair. She served Rotary in various capacities in Thailand, Malaysia, and Singapore. She and her oral surgeon husband have made 20 trips to Kenya for month-long tours at a dental clinic serving a very poor community. Their service at the dental clinic expanded their Rotary interest in helping the community, which led the Carlisle Rotary Club to support the local school, dig wells, install sanitation systems, and farming efforts at the clinic. They are currently implementing a $134,000 global grant project to provide clean drinking water to a children's home and develop an agricultural program to produce food for the children and training in the science of agriculture. Through Kathleen's efforts, the Rotary Club of Carlisle is also supporting an eye care program in Nairobi. So I'll give you Kathleen.
good. Thank you, Dennis. And he and I have known each other for many years, worked on different Rotary projects, and I was really quite excited when I heard that he was going to Kenya to visit a Rotarian there and learn more about Rotary in Kenya, because that's where I've done most of my volunteer work, and I just have a very soft spot in my heart for that country. And I know that he is going to continue his involvement there, and perhaps there may be things that your club could do to assist him in his efforts. We're talking today about global grants, and global grants are doing good in the world. Now, I'm not sure what to do here. All right. We all belong to Rotary International, and that is a service organization that inspires, encourages its members to do community activities and also international projects. But in addition to the organization of Rotary International, there is the Rotary Foundation, and that is the fundraising organization for Rotary, and it enables Rotary to implement a lot of projects throughout the world. They can be projects in the community, projects in various parts of the world. And I was interested in what Emily said about her concerns about conditions in some faraway places that are dealing with climate concerns. And it's good that you're thinking this way, because the needs around the world are just, they're simply endless. But as I said, it's Rotary International, which means we're all part of this international worldwide organization. The Rotary Foundation provides fundings for, and I'm talking about grants here, district club grants, which I'm sure your club has had, and they are $5,000 maximum. Your club puts 25 in, gets matched, and you're able to do things that you feel are important, and more often than not, they are in the local community. But it also funds global grants, which are the large international projects. It funds a lot of other things too, but just for the purposes of this meeting, I thought I'd just mention the two, because we could spend a whole day talking about all the things that Rotary supports. But I wanted to talk first about your contributions to Rotary. You've all heard of every Rotarian every year, so that we ask each member of Rotary to please consider $100 a year at least in support of the Rotary Foundation. But this is what happens to the money that you give to Rotary. The Rotary Foundation takes your $100 gift and invests it for 3 years. And that money is used for the administrative support of the Rotary Foundation. After 3 years, that money is returned to, after 3 years, half of the money goes to the World Fund. And one of the major things that the World Fund supports is global grants. The other $50 goes to what we call district designated funds. And it is money that the district can use to provide support for your district club grants and also to provide support for global grants. The thing I like about global grants is there's a magic to matching. So if your club puts money into a global grant, that amount would be matched by the district, and then 80% of the district match would be matched by the Rotary Foundation. So all of a sudden, a relatively small amount of money can mushroom into a large amount that can really accomplish significant things throughout the world. Every Rotary project, a global grant project, must support one of the areas of focus of Rotary. It could support more than one, but these are the areas that the Rotary Foundation concentrates on supporting. And we're looking at peace and conflict resolution, that's the one at the top, disease prevention, water sanitation, maternal health, basic education and literacy, community economic development, and support for the environment. So if a club is interested in a global grant, it would have to address a need in one of these areas. But it's pretty easy to find a project in these areas. Typically, a global grant involves an international partner, which means that there must be a Rotary club in another part of the world that is willing to support the project. So your club may have a good idea and have a project you want to do, but unless you have a partner locally to assist and actively participate in the project, it won't happen. And I know that your club is considering a global grant in Ghana. Denise is not here, and I'm sorry she's not, because she's the one who introduced me to this project and idea, and I hope that it's able to come to fruition. I know that there are always local issues that have to be resolved before projects can take place, but I'm hopeful that it will have a positive outcome. But you need a partner in your partner country. Then you have to do a community assessment, which means you have to determine that there really is a need and exactly what the need in the community is. It must support one of the areas of focus that I just mentioned. There must be a financial plan, a budget, and the money available to support whatever the project is. It has to be sustainable so that after the project is completed, the local community can continue it, that it doesn't just stop after Rotary support is discontinued. And there's a very important requirement that reports be made on an annual basis, and then at the completion of the project, a final report. And reporting back to the Rotary Foundation is just an important and significant part of any global grant. What I thought I would do would be discuss a couple of different projects that our district is currently involved in, just to give you a flavor of what district grants or global grants can support. And I'm choosing this one. It's Carlisle Sunrise has done a water and sanitation project in Togo. And they started out doing all the things that I just suggested. They had a partner club, they did a needs assessment, they had a plan in place, but when they did the budgeting, the need was for water and sanitation in 5 villages, and they didn't come close to having enough money. Oh, geez, they've gotten this far, they've done all this work, they've visited the site, not enough money. So they decided instead of supporting the needs in 5 villages, they would support 2 villages. And this is how they got started with their work in Togo. And this is a picture before the first Togo project. This is typical. Now, this picture was taken in Togo, but I have seen very similar situations when I have been in Kenya and in other countries. This is not unusual. So they built a hand-run pump that meets the local community's ability to operate it and take care of it. And they built, on the right is a picture of latrines. And they did these at schools, at the school for the village, so that the students would go to school, would learn about correct sanitation, and it was made it a community center for families that needed water to come to this pump and be able to get it. Part of the project included training and hygiene. And this is something that's so basic to us, but it's really not something that the local people know about or are able to do anything about. So they had training in proper use of toilets, in hand washing after a person uses the toilets. They had a lot of training for the young girls about when they have their monthly periods, how they take care of themselves, and the cleanliness that is important. All of this is part of making the community a better place than it had been. And these are pictures of training programs with girls. And this is a celebration. The local community is proud of the project, and they have a celebration to open the functioning of the wells. Oh, this is one I wanted to show you. I don't know why that happened. I mean, it's a good, I don't know why it's turned around like this. And I wanted to show you off to the side at the end of this little video is a trough where the water is available for animals if the animals are there at that time. I don't know why that happened, but it did. But this is a sample of how a project is funded. After the successful completion of the water for the 2 villages, the Rotary clubs decided they would raise money so that they could provide the water to the other 3 villages. And the Carlisle Sunrise Club and the Noon Club, the club that I'm a part of, had a fundraiser at Christmas time and raised $24,000. Now you see at the top, this project is costing $67,000, and after a lot of effort, we raised 24, which for our 2 clubs is a significant amount of money. But then if you look, the local club put $100 in, the district matched the amount that the Carlisle clubs raised, another 24. The Rotary Foundation put another $19,000 in. So all of a sudden, $67,000 is available to bring water to 3 more villages. This is what I call the magic of matching, and it's what a global grant can do, because it can take the money that your club can raise and it becomes a larger sum and can support a much bigger effort. And I wanted to give you just a sample of a few other projects that are happening now in our district. And Operation Braveheart, totally different kind of effort. And it's primarily the Passport, Lancaster, and Mount Joy clubs put money into this effort in the Philippines. And what this project supports is the transcatheter repair of a hole in the heart congenital defect for poor children in the Philippines. And this condition is very severe. If a child is born with a hole in the heart, he simply doesn't thrive. He has trouble breathing. He struggles to move, cannot participate with other children, usually not able to go to school. It's almost a death sentence for a child to have a hole in the heart. But a single surgery can repair that, and the child's life is totally changed. And this particular project, now here are some recent youngsters who have benefited. One of the members from the Passport Club regularly visits the Philippines. That is Dr. Socrates on the right. And the volunteer dentist, or volunteer doctor is on the left. And he is the gentleman who does the surgeries. The cost for each surgery is about $1,000. And that covers the device that is inserted into the heart to make the repair possible. So it's a voluntary effort, and the funding to make it possible has been provided through global grants. And this is the third global grant to support this effort. It had an in-depth audit by the Rotary Foundation several years ago, passed with high flying colors, and they encouraged that the project be continued. And here's a party they were having for the patients, for the recipients of these valves. There's another project. It was for a water system in El Salvador. And this is a hands-on effort. The volunteers in the community were working to clear the area to make it possible to put in a well and have it solar powered. So the grant itself supported digging a well and having it powered with solar energy, but the local community volunteers were hands-on in implementing this effort. And here again, we have a picture of Rotarians celebrating all the good that had been accomplished. And then we have another project in the Philippines, and this is to support a food project for street children. Street children live at this home, and they have a food production effort. And this full area has been planted with rice. The green area is rice production, and the building at the bottom is a pig house, so that they have an effort to learn about agriculture of pigs and use the food to support the children. There's a rice farm. This is like a canal around the area that was in the previous picture, and you see a water tank on the right. The project that I have worked on in particular recently is water for personal consumption and for agricultural development in Kenya. And it involved teaching children at a group home and members of the community about the science and the business of agriculture, so that when a youngster graduates from high school, has a pretty good knowledge of how to run the business, what it costs to run a farm, as well as having the benefit of providing food for children in a group home and making high nutrition, low cost food available conveniently in the community. So part of the project involved building a greenhouse, and in addition to pumping water from the borehole, they installed drip irrigation. And you can see these are a bumper crop of cabbages, but it's all watered through drip irrigation that runs on a timer, and 3 times a day the adequate amount of water is given to these plants. That's an expensive installation, but water is so scarce and it's so rare and so expensive, it's very dear, that this is the economical way to do it. Here are some plants, the corn and the peppers that were grown outside, And at the bottom of the pepper, you can see a bit of a hosing, and that is part of the drip irrigation. The pump is powered by solar power. Electricity is very expensive. Sometimes they have used gas-powered generators, which are terribly noisy and are not environmentally friendly. The problem with solar power is that they don't always have a lot of sun. So you either have to have backup you have to be able to store the solar power when you get it, or use electricity. This is a kiosk where the vegetables are being sold to local women in the community. And it just gives you an example of a way the project is earning money so that there's enough money to sustain and maintain the pump and the irrigation system. This picture, this is in Carlisle. This is downtown Carlisle. But part of what to me is important about Rotary is that in addition to doing these different projects, you build friendships. And when we talk about the 408 test, we talk about building friendships. And over the years, this is what our club has done with the Kenyans, the Rotarians from Kenya. And they came to our community and visited us. And these are people I've worked with and met over the years and knew, and I was just delighted that they came to Carlisle, and our club was happy to house them in our homes and show them all the important sites of Carlisle and Hershey and the Big Apple, and we took them to Washington. I mean, we had a big time, but building friendship is a very important part of global grants. And this is the chicken coop and the pig house under construction, a ceremony when they actually opened got the pump going. So there's a certain theme through them all. The communities celebrate when they get a project and the project is actually implemented. Here's one that was a project for medical equipment in Argentina, and they delivered the equipment and trained the people on the use of the medical equipment. And I just wanted you to have a flavor of the variety of projects, the potential of what can be done with a global grant. And then I'm thinking about your club and hoping that maybe at some time in the future you will be able to do a global grant. Hopefully it all comes together in Ghana. Who knows what Dennis might come up with in Kenya with a district grant or a global grant, but who knows? But I certainly hope that your club will think about global grant opportunities and how much a small amount of money from your club can grow into a substantial amount for doing good in the world. So this is a quick overview of global grants and global grants in our district. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to talk about them. Try to answer them. Yes, sir.
So when I went online this year,
Yes.
I was more focused on what we were going to do and what we, every day. I wasn't really thinking about the budgets and all that planning that had to take place, which I had no part in.
Yes.
But when I was there, I saw how flexible they had to be. In my opinion, there's no way to know exactly how much everything's going to cost at all. I mean, you have ideas, but I'm assuming that the committees that vote on these things, they know that.